join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, as we gather once again to conduct the business of SDREA, we offer our thanks that amidst all the chaos, suffering, and divisiveness that surrounds us in these uncertain times, the still and calming waters of your love and grace are also with us to guide us and sustain us. They are but a prayer away. Thank you for the food before us and the fellowship that will strengthen us as a co-op family. Amen.
The minutes was mailed out. They're in the program, and if you had a chance, if you have any questions, holler. We'll try to answer them, and if you don't have any questions, why, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve. Second? Any further discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The financial report was in the program also. And does anybody have any questions on that? Not seeing any, I'd entertain a motion to approve and file. Second? Okay, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I suppose we better slow down a little bit here. Call on SDREA General Manager Anderson to do the election of the 21st acre officers. So, Ed?
Okay. Difference this year, we do have an opening in the Vice President position that Ken Gillespie served in for several years. So this morning we will be electing a new acre Vice President. And we'll go through that one first, and then the rest of the slate of officers have agreed to continue to serve. I'll ask them later. And so hopefully we can handle that one and cast a unanimous ballot. But let's start with the office of Vice President, and I would open the floor to nominations. Kermit.
I nominate Darren Strasser.
Kermit is nominating Darren Strasser from East River. Is there a second for that nomination?
I'll support.
Urban Fink, is there a second? Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll cease nominations. All those in favor of electing Darren Strasser to the office of Vice President, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, thank you. So, for the remaining officers, the offices of President, Secretary, and Treasurer, we can accept nominations from the floor. If there are none, then I would entertain casting a unanimous ballot for the existing slate of the remaining officers. Do I see a nomination? Okay, I have a nomination. Is there a second? Casting a unanimous ballot. Okay, we have a second. Nomination second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right. Congratulations, officers. The retirement plan hasn't gotten any better. So I'm just going to offer just a couple of very quick comments. One of the things that we've enjoyed doing at this breakfast over the years is offering congratulations to a co-op employee that's drawn from the bucket of all acre members, and we fund an all expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. for the legislative conference. Of course, we didn't do that last year, and all indications, just so you know, suggest that the legislative conference will not be held again this year, and I know that won't surprise you given what's going on. NRECA has not made an official announcement that it is definitely canceled, but all indications are that that will not be held. So we are doing that, and that's unfortunate. The more people that we have the opportunity to get involved in Acre and get involved in the process and understand the process, the better off we're all going to be in the long run. And I know you understand that and appreciate that. So, but we forge ahead. And, you know, the 20 years that I've been here, if I've learned nothing else, it's that co-ops, electric co-ops, like our Republican form of government, are stalwart supporters of our country and of our form of government. You folks don't give up. You stay the course, and you understand that by staying the course, you're going to make it through whatever tough times we find ourselves in the middle of, and we're going to come out on the backside stronger. And you show that time and time again. And so with that said, even with everything that's going on, and I know we're all disappointed. We have our reasons, our individual reasons, we're all disappointed. It's still the best thing going. It is a resilient form of government. We are going to come out of this. And so your continued support of Acre is more important today. A lot of large companies, international companies, are suspending contributions to candidates. That's going to be temporary. The time will come. We all need to step back in and support doing the right thing, and I know that you'll do that. So, thank you for making the trip to Pierre. Just an FYI, what you did last night was very much appreciated by legislators. I was concerned that the turnout would drop way off, and that approach, the approach that we took last night, may not be well received by legislators, and I was wrong on both counts. We ended up having over 70 legislators that joined us last night, and I heard comments from many, many legislators about how much they appreciated, number one, that we forged ahead and held the event despite the multiple cancellations that they're dealing with, and they appreciated the format. And so, good for you. Thank you for manning your tables and having those important conversations, and I can guarantee you that the legislators appreciate it.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to have the staff stand up. They did a tremendous job after last night, redoing everything, and we really appreciate it. Tremendous staff. Ed, you did a good job too, so would you all please stand up and be recognized? I want to thank everybody for supporting Acre, and with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. So, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
But I too want to thank Ed and the staff for all the difficult decisions they've had to make as we've made adjustments for the legislative banquet last night and also for the meetings today. They've been thinking outside the box here, trying to make this thing work out. So certainly appreciate all the effort that they've put into this. So with that, I'll call our annual meeting to order. And the first item of business is our financial report, and I will call on Whitney Meeks.
Good morning. As your board treasurer, it's my pleasure to update you on the SDREA's financial condition. The fiscal year for SDREA runs from January 1st to December 31st. My report today will focus on the findings of the most recent audited version of the financial report for the year ending December 31st, 2019. The audit was performed by the Ide Bailey firm in Pierre, South Dakota, and they examined the financial statements for 2018 and 2019. They presented the findings to the board in September 2020. The firm concluded that the financial statements presented fairly the financial position of the association and the changes in its net assets and cash flows for the years then ended in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. The association's projections in 2018 and 2019 operating year were estimated to be $2,790,000. This was a projection of a 1.67% increase over the previous year. In 2019, SDREA's revenue was $2,854,000, which was $64,000 more than the projected amount, and expenses were $94,000 more than the projected amount, totaling $2,984,000. This resulted in a net loss of $131,000. At the end of 2019, the association had current assets including cash, accounts receivable, prepaid expenses, and supplies totaling $1,382,000. Other assets included patronage equity and CFC capital securities accounted for an additional $19,000. SDREA's property and equipment, less accumulated depreciation, totaled more than $432,000, resulting in total assets of $1,833,000. The association had liabilities including accounts payable, accrued expenses, and deferred revenue of $617,000, while the working capital of SDREA was $1,216,000. Total liabilities and working capital amounted to $1,833,000, which was equal to the assets of the association. The statement of activities for the year ending December 31st showed that self-supporting activities amounted to more than $1,361,000, or 47% of the total revenue. The association's dues amounted to $1,355,000, which was also 47% of the total revenue. The remaining revenue, which accounted for 6% of the budget, came from other sources, including Federated Rural Electric's loss control participation, associate members, interest, miscellaneous, and net assets released from restrictions. The total revenues of the association in 2019 was $2,854,000. Operating expenses for 2019 totaled $2,984,000. The $2,818,000 in program expenses accounted for 95% of these expenses, while 165% in administrative expenses accounted for 5%. The association's unrestricted net assets decreased by $130,000 at the end of 2019. SDREA's total net worth equaled $1,346,000 at the end of 2019. While the financial statements for the year ending 2020 are not yet available, all indications are that your association ended the year in a strong financial position. Thank you.
At this time, it's my honor to announce the recipients of the 2021 Legacy of Leadership Award. Each year, SDREA recognizes two individuals for their contributions to the advancement and advocacy of electric cooperatives throughout the state of South Dakota and beyond. This distinguished award highlights outstanding cooperative leaders who lend their talent, time, expertise, and passion toward improving the quality of their cooperative organizations and their communities. Legacy of Leadership Award winners routinely demonstrate their dedication and commitment to serving the collective interests of others above their own. Our first recipient is Bev Berkland, a native of Dupree. Bev was a member of the Morro Grande Electric Cooperative Board of Directors from 1998 to 2016, and also served on the SDREA board from 2000 to 2016. She was nominated for this award by 6 cooperative leaders throughout the state. A lifelong resident of Dupree, Bev has been married to her husband Russ since 1958. She spent her career with the USDA Agricultural Stabilization and Conservation Service and retired in 1994 after 35 years with the federal program. Most recently, Bev has been engaged in supporting and promoting respective business enterprises of her sons Clint and Doug. Bev has been heavily involved in community activities since graduating high school in 1958, including many positions of leadership. She is a former vice chair of the Dupree City Council and has been active in various local organizations such as 4-H, Dupree Community Club, United Church of Christ, Dupree Alumni Association, Dupree Volunteer Fire Department Auxiliary, Pioneer Hall Building Campaign, and the Prairie Stripper Quilt Guild. In nominating Bev, West River Electric and SDREA board member Jerry Hammerquist said this: "She stands tall as a worthy recipient of this award because she represents the qualities we should all reach for: honesty, integrity, faith, service to her community, and an unwavering commitment to the cooperative way of life." Congratulations, Bev, on this well-deserved honor, and on behalf of SDREA and all of us, thank you for your dedication and hard work over the years.
Well, I want to thank everyone for this. I think there's a lot more people that are more deserving than I am. I want to especially thank Melissa. She's been my best friend for years, and my family for all the support. And I've enjoyed working with all the local and the state REA people, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Continue your good work. Bye.
Our second Legacy of Leadership Award winner is Irvin Fink, who currently serves as the president of Douglas Electric Board of Directors. Irvin has been a member of the cooperative board since 1986 and has also represented his co-op on the East River Electric Board for the past 20 years. He currently holds the office of secretary on the East River Board. A native and lifelong resident of Armour, Fink is a farmer who also served in the National Guard for 6 years. He's an active member of St. Peter Lutheran Church, and he and his wife Dee have 2 sons, Jeremy and Reggie. In nominating Fink for this honor, East River Electric CEO Tom Boyko said this longtime cooperative leader has been instrumental in guiding that organization through various shifts and changes in the industry over the past 2 decades. Irvin approaches his position on our board of directors with thoughtful professionalism and a very positive attitude. He can always be counted on to contribute engaging insight during board discussions. He has showcased his leadership in keeping East River's costs low, while also moving forward with projects that will allow us to continue successfully living out our mission of enhancing value for our members. Kevin Zimbor, pastor of St. Peter Lutheran, commented on Fink's personal integrity and character. Irvin represents the best that there could be in a neighbor. Whether a stranger or a lifelong friend, he gives everyone the same love and respect they deserve. Not because they did something to earn it, but merely because they exist. Irvin, congratulations of joining the ranks of SDREA's Legacy of Leadership Award winners. And on behalf of the board and all of us here, thank you very much, and please come up.
I never was good at speeches, but I do give glory to God for this because I'm really humbled by you people. And first of all, I got to apologize. I know everybody's face here, but I don't always put a name to it. And that's a little bit of a part of getting old. But I do appreciate the 7 managers that I was a director with. First there was Brad Sardine from, and then there was Merlin Darian, and you people all know him. And then there was Ken Van Zee, and now Jace Bonds. And then with East River, it was Jeff Nelson, and now it's Tom Boyko. Everybody has a different style, but at the end, they come out to the same margins for the consumer at the end. It always works out, and everybody works for the good of the co-op. And I hope you continue to do that. So thank you all, very much humbled. Every year before the annual meeting, we spend some time talking about how long the speech ought to be. And we kind of go back and forth, and kind of reminded me of a couple years ago. I was up on a church board, and we were at a meeting, and finally the pastor asked if we minded if he went overboard a little bit with his sermons, went a little longer than normal. And one of the other members piped up right away and said, "Oh, that's just fine. It's just an extra long nap for me then, so maybe you feel the same way if we go too long, I'm not sure, but we'll give it a spin here. Welcome board members, management, and guests to the 2021 SDREA annual meeting. I would like to once again congratulate Beverly Berkman and Irvin Fink on being named this year's Legacy of Leadership Award winners. Thank you for your service and your commitment not only to your cooperative members, but for contributing to the ongoing strength and vitality of our statewide electric cooperative program as well. 2020 was a year of change at SDREA. In the communications department, longtime employee Brenda Clington left in May to join Sioux Valley Energy, while Don Trapp retired in June after 33 years of service. Losing that much institutional knowledge is always difficult, but we are fortunate to have Billy Gibson join our staff as communications director with more than 20 years of statewide association experience. Emily Costar also joined the team in October. Both bring new skill sets and fresh ideas to serve our members. Additionally, Dina Tavit Scott, our longtime director of finance, just retired after more than 30 years at SDREA. Terry Iverson joins us in November to pick up where Dina left off, and we're excited to have Terry on board. As most of you know, General Manager Ed Anderson will retire in July. With so much change in so little time, Ed wanted to use this period of transition as an opportunity for progress and asked the SDREA board to form a task force to conduct a critical review of the full slate of services provided by the association. Composed of distribution managers and SDREA board members, the task force met 5 times last summer and engaged in a detailed review of every department. The work of the task force yielded a list of recommendations endorsed by the SDREA board to move the organization into the future from a solid foundation. In preparations for Ed's departure, the SDREA board formed a search committee and has enlisted the services of NRECA to conduct a national search for a new manager. The process is underway with the goal of extending an offer by mid-May. Much like the annual meeting events of your respective cooperatives through 2020, this year's SDREA annual meeting looks a lot different compared to those of the past. At this time last year, none of us could have imagined the historic circumstances that awaited us just around the corner. We all braced ourselves when the news arrived last spring that our nation was besieged by a deadly coronavirus. Many of us came under the assumption that this global pandemic would soon pass. Perhaps an effective vaccine would be developed, and our lives would return to some semblance of normalcy in short order. But weeks became months, and months have turned into nearly a year that we have had to adjust our old habits to keep ourselves, our employees, our members, and our communities free from the ravages of this insidious disease. It became apparent just how serious this new affliction was when the number of deaths in our country surpassed the number of U.S. soldiers who sacrificed their lives in World War I and Vietnam combined. Having to change, postpone, or cancel our annual meeting seemed to cut against the very nature of who we are. The idea of closing our lobbies and preventing our members from entering their own facilities seemed to run contrary to our very covenant with our members. We are social creatures in close-knit communities, and not being able to meet, mix, and mingle in our customary fashion has caused a considerable concern for all of us. None of us could have imagined a holiday season where we would actually be discouraged from gathering with friends and family, when we would hesitate to sit down at a Thanksgiving meal or participate in a congregational service or another traditional get-together. But through this crisis, we have learned much. We have learned how to communicate differently. We have learned the value of relationships. We have learned to care more deeply about the people and things that are most dear to us. And we have become more aware of how infectious diseases can spread indiscriminately from one person to another, from one state to another, one country to another, and ultimately from one continent to another. This pandemic has served to remind us once again of one inescapable truth. As both individuals and organizations, The decisions we make and the behaviors we exhibit have collective consequences for everyone around us. Each time we leave our home, we do so with the knowledge that we could infect or be infected by anyone we encounter. There is a parallel to be drawn between the consequences of our individual decisions made during this pandemic and the decisions that we make every day from the confines of our co-op offices and boardrooms. And it should be noted that those consequences could be negative or positive. For instance, the decision and vision of our early cooperative founders sparked a movement that gained momentum and resulted in a great deal of good for rural Americans. They understood that building an electric co-op system would serve the purpose of delivering power to their own rural homesteads, but more significantly, they expanded their thought process beyond the boundaries of their own property lines. They recognized a simple fact that by embracing a broader perspective and seeking to energize not just their own farms, but their neighbors as well, the entire community, county, state, and country would reap the rewards. But it first required that to think well past the limitations of their own self-interest. Time has proven that we have all been the better for it. Conversely, the potential for widespread negative consequences exists as we continue to navigate the political storms together, bound by the same set of guiding principles, the same mission and commitment, the same values, and the same set of legal statutes. How we respond individually to the obstacles that lie in our path affects every single cooperative in this system to some degree. Those consequences may not be readily apparent in the moment, but they may come to bear at a later date, becoming painfully obvious in hindsight long after the damage is done. It's incumbent upon each of us to ask ourselves from every manager's desk, from every board table, from every co-op of every size, stripe, and section of the state, this question: how will our individual decisions affect not only our own members and our own organization, but also the long-term integrity, strength, and vitality of our entire statewide system? From my perspective as your statewide board president, I believe an electric cooperative member is an electric cooperative member wherever they may reside. Instead of lines of distinction drawn by service territories, brands, or logos, I draw those lines of distinction based on whether the citizens of our state are co-op members or IOU customers, whether the citizens of our state are co-op members or municipal ratepayers. There are substantial differences, and we all know what those differences are. It's simply better to be a member owner of a co-op. But in the pursuit of considering what is best for our individual co-op members, we must also consider the long-range consequences for all members across the state. SDREA was founded on the premise that we could carry more authority, more strength, more credibility, more influence on behalf of our members by approaching our lawmakers as one entity coalescing around a single purpose: to advocate for the best interest of all our members. The old pitchfork gangs that descended on the Capitol in our formative years clearly understood this. In our day-to-day decision-making, we must make it a priority to preserve the power of unity that our early leaders worked so hard to establish and promote. So it is with this understanding that we should recognize the reality of just how our individual decisions lead to collective consequences. If we allow our ranks to become divided and allow divisiveness and polarization to infect this cooperative body, we will absolutely become weaker and more marginalized. And in our weakness, our political opponents will find strength and might. Interesting conflict that is not resolved in a measured, thoughtful, respectful, discreet, even-handed manner will lead us down a dark path that could ultimately put our consumers one incremental step closer to losing their privilege of being a co-op member owner. But I have no doubt we will take heed to the conflicts that have erupted in other systems across the country that have led to dissension, disintegration, strife, and chaos, as well as our own internal disagreements that have arisen in certain times throughout our history. I'm confident we will acknowledge those situations and learn valuable lessons from them. As someone once said, God doesn't waste pain. He uses it as a teaching tool to make us better, to give us insight, to inform our understanding, and guide our steps. We'll be wise to learn from our past predicaments and use those experiences to clarify our own vision for the future and the success of our statewide program. The late Leo P. Flynn echoed the sentiments of many when he pointed out that our co-ops were born in politics, and if they ever meet their demise and fall under the crush of our opponents, it will be through politics. I think Leo and others who have reiterated that supposition were referring to the outside political forces. But it's clear from what we have seen in other states and other regions where co-ops have placed themselves in peril, the most destruction has not emerged from the State House, Congress, or regulatory bodies, but from the ramifications of internal strife, internal conflict, ethical lapses, and self-interested decision-making that fails to take into account the far-reaching collective consequences. We should all be proud of the statewide system we have built and sustained over many years. In my opinion, despite any shortcomings we may have, it remains among the best and most unified in the nation. This is largely due to outstanding leadership, hard work, good sense, mutual respect, and our ability over the years to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and even slower to anger. This has been our hallmark in South Dakota. These are the qualities that distinguish this system from all others. This is why I believe that many years from now, those who have taken over the reins of leadership and taken over the stewardship of our system will look across our state's electric co-op landscape, and they will not only recognize and honor the programs that they have inherited, but they will also see tens of thousands of electric co-op members who are still electric co-op members, as they were from the very beginning, with all the rights, privileges, local control, and advantages that implies, still living out the vision that our founders had for them many, many years ago. Thank you for attending this year's annual meeting, and we look forward to continuing to work with all of you through 2021 to make South Dakota's electric cooperatives stronger than ever before. Thank you. With that, we will begin the business session of our meeting. Normally, we would ask all the delegates to move to a certain portion of the room, and of course, we will not do that this year. Please stay where you are, and we will conduct the meeting in that manner. To begin with, I would call on Christy to come up and take the role and ask her to be our recording secretary for today.
Kermit Pearson.
Here.
David Lindblom.
Here.
Dean Sternhagen.
Here.
Tom Bruner.
Here.
Ken Brockle.
Here.
Dwayne Wolbrink.
Here.
Don Kreisel.
Here.
Jerry Berkner. Tom Larson.
Here.
Ben Schleisner.
Here.
Todd Bashan.
Here.
Larry Vanderlei.
Here.
Rodney Dement.
Here.
Gary Bachman.
Here.
Ross Copran.
Here.
Kevin DeBoer.
Here.
Dean Borklin.
Here.
Wade Rissy.
Here.
Andrea Kilker. Royce Walker.
Here.
Mark Sumption.
Here.
Blaine Livermont.
Here.
James Eastland. Jerry Hammerquist.
Here.
Alan Wynot.
Here.
Robert Woolman. Terry Monson.
Here.
William Daly.
Here.
Kevin Newhouser.
Here.
Stan Anders.
Here.
Joel Adler.
Here.
Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Christy. At this time, I would call on our Secretary, Richard Abrahamson, for the reading of the notice of the meeting and the proof of mailing thereof.
Good morning, everyone. To the members of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association, you are hereby notified that pursuant to the call of the President of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association, the 79th annual meeting of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association will be held at the Ram Dakota Hotel in Pierre, South Dakota, beginning at 5:30, January 14th, 2021. The purpose of this meeting is to hear reports of the officers and management, elected directors for the transition of such other business as may be brought before the membership, dated the 17th day of November 2020, signed Richard Abramson. For the affidavit of mailing, this is to certify that the general manager of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association in Pierre, South Dakota, that true and correct copies of the official notice of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association annual meeting were mailed to the attached members of the South Dakota Rural Electric Association at their respective addresses on Tuesday, November 17th, 2020, by delivering them to the United States Post Office at Pierre, South Dakota. Signed, Ed Anderson.
Thank you, Richard. Our bylaws do provide that we can waive the reading of the minutes. So do we have a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented? We have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, I'll call on Darla Rogers for the election of SDREA directors.
SDREA's bylaws provide that candidates for directors shall be nominated by the member cooperatives that they will represent. Each member cooperative shall nominate one candidate from its board of directors. The name of said nominee shall be forwarded to the office of the association 30 days prior to the annual meeting. At said annual meeting, the membership of the association shall vote to elect or reject the nominee for director. If rejected, the member cooperative will be given an opportunity to make a new nomination. Those cooperatives whose terms expire in 2021 are as follows: Coddington Clark Electric, Douglas Electric, East River Electric, Grand Electric, La Creek Electric, Lake Region Electric, Northern Electric, Oahe Electric, Sioux Valley Energy, and West Central Electric. And the following individuals have been nominated by their respective cooperatives to serve the 3-year term on SDREA's Board of Directors. Daniel Teen from Coddington Clark Electric, Joel Byer, Douglas Electric, Darren Strasser, East River Electric, John Wong, Grand Electric, Donovan Youngman, La Creek Electric, Rodney Tobin, Lake Region Electric, Nolan Whiff, Northern Electric, Ross Sperry, Oahe Electric, Alan Koima, Sioux Valley Energy, and DJ Mertens, West Central Electric. At this time, we would ask for a motion to seat the nominees as directors on the SDREA board for the 3-year term. We have a motion there, and we have a second there. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Darla. Again, I want to thank all of you for coming to our annual meeting. Hopefully next year things will be back to normal and we can have a normal annual meeting with all the speakers that we so much enjoy. So again, thank you. I would ask the board to meet at 10 o'clock in Theater 1 for our reorganizational meeting. And with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. We have a motion to adjourn. We have a motion we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you and safe travels.